Now we got some exciting news. I think, like I said, despite the assault on affirmative action, Bowie State University has reached its goal, its fundraising goal. And I'm going to let Brent Swinton, who is the vice president for institutional advancement, actually tell the story because I know. Look at that smile. I know that you can tell it better than I can, and it's really exciting. So welcome to Win TV, Brent, and congratulations, Bowie State University. Let folks know why I'm congratulating you.
Thank you, Denise. Thanks for having us on the show and an opportunity to spread the good news about what's happening at the Bowie State University. So as you mentioned, we're in a campaign, and our campaign is called the Campaign for Excellence. And we are 2.5 years ahead of schedule and have already reached the initial campaign goal of $50 million.
Wow.
It has been an incredible run. And it speaks to all of the excellence that's happening on campus, the great leadership, the wonderful students, the caring faculty and staff, and more importantly, the broad partnerships that have now included not just regional and national partners, but even international investors in Bowie State University.
Well, I know you. I don't know if you came in to Bowie with the magic wand, but it looks like you must have done something in addition to the leadership that you're talking about there. Your president, help me out with your
Dr. Aminta Bro.
Right, exactly. Who there's a lot of fanfare when she was named president, and the university is a beautiful, beautiful campus. But tell us, why is this fundraising goal so important, and how did you get there so quickly?
Well, you know what? Let me start, Denise, with how did we get there? You just mentioned Dr. Bro, and everything starts with the top. So the leadership has been very intentional about lifting up the brand of Bowie State University. And Dr. Bro has assembled a team that works along with me, her cabinet, and we have just been very intentional. I will say that this campaign has been a convergence of preparation. It's been opportunity, and it's also been the intentionality about narrating the value of Maryland's first HBCU. So in my division, we have continually refined our fundraising operations towards best practices. Resources are short, so I'm always using technology and processes and procedures to move us ahead. We use data and we stay abreast on the trends, keeping up with the economy and what donors are doing nationwide. And we have leaned into the opportunities post George Floyd during the pandemic. And even as you just mentioned, with the current news coming out of the Supreme Court, we lean into those narratives and have deep conversations, not just transactional engagement, but deep conversations with partners who are concerned and who want to invest in an institution that is moving the needle for education. So even though the pandemic was awful, during that period, we really, really refined how our digital communications allow us to more broadly share the stories of the great educational opportunities at BSU. And we've attracted, as I said, international and national partners. We currently have students who are coming to us from 40 states and countries around the world. Our applications are off the chain. And I think a lot of this has to do not only with the campaign, but with the general uplift of the institution under Dr. Bro's leadership.
And we also have to acknowledge the fact, Brent, maybe you can tell, if you can, tell us a little bit about this, because if I'm not mistaken, there was a lawsuit filed once upon a time in the state of Maryland where the Black institutions were not getting to equitable funding from the state, and consequently, it impacted what the universities or the HBCUs were able to accomplish, because now you really did have to try to get those dollars that the state wasn't giving to you the way they were giving them to, let's say, the University of Maryland or some of the other universities in the state. So I don't know if you can comment on how that lawsuit, where we are with that, and if you've increased any funding or not, and what people may have known about that really helped to also push the needle for your fundraising goals?
Well, Denise, what you're talking about is a story that is repeated across the country, and that is HBCUs have had a historic disenfranchisement when it comes to receiving the same amount of funding or exposure to capital as their PWI counterparts. So here in Maryland, there was a suit that you mentioned for a long time that was about the duplication of programs, where HBCUs that were state institutions had established programs, and the result of the suit has been a settlement. And I say settlement because, as you might imagine if there had been equitable funding generations ago, where we would be now. So there was a settlement that was enacted under the previous governor, Hogan. That settlement is divided amongst the state's for state HBCU institutions. However, I do want to remind your audience that is state money, and is not part of the campaign.
Okay.
The campaign is all about private philanthropy, individuals, corporations, foundations who are investing in the institution. But to your point, this is all about, wherever the source of the funding comes from, trying to get HBCUs to be on a level playing field. And we have a long way to go.
And I've said it, and I'm going to say it forever and ever. It's sad that we lost George Floyd and the way in which we lost him, but his legacy lives on in what has happened around the country with the support that institutions have received in his name in some respects. So this $50 million goal, you have folks that come in that wanted to help you reach that milestone. I don't know if you want to do some shout outs, but I'm open to it.
Well, I would be remiss not to first acknowledge that we received the largest gift in the history of our institution in December of 2000. We were among the few institutions that were included in Mackenzie Scotts donations. And as you said, post George Floyd. And this was like the unicorn gift, in as much as she had a team of researchers who had actually been studying over 2,000 nonprofits and institutions of higher education, and without our knowledge. And that's why not every school, not every HBCU received the gift from Mackenzie Scott. They really did some hardcore research. And we found out afterwards the analytics they were looking at when they decided to, bless us with this donation. So we received $25 million from Mackenzie Scott, and that is so far the largest gift ever. But more than just the gift itself, which we put into our endowment, and I want to talk about endowments in a few minutes, that gift also provided entree into conversations with high net worth individuals and major funders who were previously unacquainted with the story of Bowie State University. So we don't have a gift that has equaled the Scott gift yet, but there have been numerous 7-figure gifts, 6-figure gifts, et cetera, that Bowie State has received because we secured that donation from Mackenzie Scott, and it just took us to another level.
So Mackenzie Scott is she's the ex-wife of was it Jeff Bezos, or
Yes.
I can't remember who she was married to. Yeah, but at any rate, yeah, she, these multi-billionaire people recognized that they needed to do something, and fortunately, institutions like Bowie State were not left out. But it's not because of, and partly because of her goodwill, but Bowie State has a story, right? I mean, you're worthy of whatever donations people are giving to you. And what is the Bowie State story that you share with your funders?
Well, it might come as a surprise to some of your viewers, but actually Bowie State University was founded in Baltimore. We are one of the oldest HBCUs in the nation because we were founded in 1865, an important year when it comes to the emancipation of formerly enslaved citizens. So our originating mission was to educate those that the state was not going to educate because of the color of their skin. And we started out as a training ground for teachers, in this region, you can't throw a rock without hitting a teacher or a school administrator who doesn't have at least one degree from Bowie State University. I mean, it's incredible, no matter what school setting that you go into. So that was our initial mission. That was our first major. But now Bowie State has evolved into a full-fledged university with a beautiful campus right off of 197 in Bowie. If you've not turned into the university, you wouldn't know that we are sitting on 340 acres of just, awesome manicured land, a mix of historical markers and new buildings. The sign of a healthy university is construction. And right outside of my window, we are constructing our new arts and humanities, communications and humanities building right off of 197. We have our entrepreneurship living and learning center, which is one of the most unique situations where Bowie State University, along with having a variety of degrees that we offer, we also are implementing entrepreneurial mindset in every major. And we are intentional about having every student cycle through that entrepreneurial living and learning center. So again, the story of Bowie State University does start out of necessity, like most of our HBCUs, but we're not just surviving. We are one of the HBCUs that are actually thriving. And, again, Mackenzie Scotts, her researchers found that value when they selected us to be one of the recipients of her gifts, and other national and international groups like Adobe, Cisco, Diageo, Truist Bank, and even our local partners like BGE, the Stephen Rene Bishotti Foundation, the Franz Merrick Foundation. I mean, we just have so many partners now that see that story and realize, wow, this place is really, it's been doing the right thing despite being under resourced for all those generations.
Wow. And so let's talk about the endowment.
Sure.
So go ahead. Tell us that story.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about endowment. This is kind of one of the passions of my life and of my career. An endowment, just like, let's say, your own annuity or 401k, this is where you're putting money aside, right, for a rainy day. This is the money that keeps you stable no matter what's happening with the economic climate. So universities need endowments so that there's always there's a principal endowment. That's the value that people talk about. And then about 4 or 5% of that principal a year comes back to the university that it could spend. So I just wanted to give you and your audience that background, because when you talk about endowments, you need to understand that for the top 10 HBCUs combined, our endowment probably $2.5 billion. For the top 10 PWIs, their endowments are like $320 billion. So places like Harvard, Stanford, Yale, with these, tremendous multi-billion-dollar endowments, they actually don't even have to charge tuition. Whereas all of our HBCUs, even Howard, which has the largest HBCU endowment, we all have to charge tuition to stay open.
Yeah, so you're spending all your money just trying to create dorms and to operate, right? Pay teachers and keep the buildings in good shape. So now you can kind of exhale a little bit.
Well, again, it's all about catching up, because we are facing historic just uneven funding. The endowment for Bowie State, at the beginning of the campaign was $7 million. So again, look at the hundreds and billions of dollars. There's actually about 65 PWIs that have at least $1 billion endowment. Ours was 7 million. So 4% of 7 million, that's some money, but that's not enough to run a university.
Exactly.
Today, as I talk to you now, we are at 40 million in endowment. And that is, over 500% growth. And again, it's thanks to our partners and us telling the story and really educating our alums and our supporters about the importance of giving to endowments. HBCUs have always had a great history of alums who run down to the registrar's office and give $500 for that baby there, or $1,000 for these students here. And certainly Bowie State University is no different. Our alums have always been givers to help people get across that graduation stage. But you have to invest in endowment and grow your endowment to be commensurate with the size of your university as a system of being viable for the next generation. So yes, $40 million, it is so much better than $7 million. And we're so grateful for it. But to be honest, an institution with over 6,300 students like Bowie State, we need to double that. We need to get into the 80s and, hopefully one day $100 million endowment range, just to get back to equitable.
So this whole fundraising campaign, again, you were ahead of yourself in 2 years to raise the 50 million. What's the total amount that the university is trying to raise? And I guess, is it 5 years left on this campaign, or tell
So
us
we've got 3 fiscal years left.
Okay.
So we're about to start, an academic year in the fall. And I'm not announcing a specific amount just yet, because we're going to go back to the lab and work with our partners, sort of like going back into the silent phase of the campaign. But we're going to develop a campaign goal that will be suitable for, again, 6,300 students who bring their needs. And again, the population that we serve, the population that HBCUs serve, their number one barrier to college access and barrier to graduation is finances. So much of our thinking is behind how much scholarship money will it take to really make a difference. So we'll be developing some models and making an announcement in the future about future partners that haven't come to fruition just yet, and about an expanded goal. And to be honest, the way that Bowie State is growing, this goal will probably be, it will put us on another level as far as the conversations about HBCU fundraising.
I hear you tiptoeing around it, but number one, I do think probably with this affirmative action decision by the Supreme Court, a lot more folks are going to be knocking on the doors of Bowie State for admission and to get into programs which have always been quality programs. And that's one thing we want folks to understand. HBCUs deliver, right? And Bowie State is among them. And I can say that as a 2-time HBCU grad, Howard University, if you don't mind. I'm sorry. But anyway, not sorry, but, but I want to, follow me here. Brent Swinton, you are a bulldog it when it comes to raising it. Wait a minute, bulldog it. That's your mascot. Bowie State Bulldogs.
We're the Bowie State Bulldogs. Look what you did there, Denise.
I did it on purpose, but anyway. Exactly, the Bowie State Bulldogs. And so I'm pretty sure you all are rough and tough and are going to reach this goal. Are you a graduate of Bowie?
So I am a Bowie State University parent. And I am a student. And so I come from an HBCU family. And I actually do have experience working with and attending PWIs. So I've been steeped in HBCUs, higher education, PWIs. I've even worked at a single sex institution. So I kind of have seen it all when it comes to the art and the science of fundraising.
Well, it sounds like they picked the right person for Bowie State, and you're a great spokesperson. And I'm excited. I'm going to come over there and see what kind of program I can get involved in.
Come on.
So I want to express my appreciation for you joining us. We hope that our viewers will also be among those that will contribute, their money to Bowie. Whether they're a graduate or not, it's one of our local HBCUs, so we can always support, correct?
That is right. I mean, we are the only HBCU in Prince George's County, but like I said, our roots are firmly in Baltimore. So, we're one of the pride points of the region. And I'd like to encourage everyone to use the link below. And as I tell our alums, it's not about you emptying out your pockets. If everyone who cares about higher education, educating students of colors, all that's going on now in the world. And as you said, higher education is about to really, really change. If we think that we have, too many applicants to process now, I think it's about to really, really go into overdrive. And if everyone would just give a little bit, then I promise that my team and I, Dr. Bro and others, we will leverage your participation and get more scholarship money for these deserving students.
Wonderful. Brent Swinton, Vice President for Institutional Advancement, Bowie State University. Thank you so very much for being with us. We wish you much more success.
Thank you, Denise.
All right. Have a good one.